58% of deals are falling through. Why does this matter? Stick around and you'll soon find out.
Good afternoon. Here we are live in Nab An Investor.
We are in sunny Mersey. Beautiful day, very hot. That's why we're sat outside in the shade.
Glorious. Just completed a 4-mile walk. Lovely.
Brilliant. So we're talking about Nab An Investor. Why is it important with the market right now? Neil's going to do some Neil's news a little bit later on. But I think this is the time. This is the time. I think Rob Moore's been talking about this for ages, that we're entering into a recession. We're definitely seeing a change in the property market. We're seeing more and more properties on sale in auctions, being reduced, all sorts of things. And this is why we always need to be prepared to nab an investor.
Even though there's more properties going into auction, the percentages of sold or withdrawn is going up. Non-sold and withdrawn is going up and up and up. So those that are postponed, withdrawn, or don't reach their reserve is going up. So what does that do? That creates opportunity. So you've got to keep an eye on them and be patient.
Absolutely. We are doing our sprint week in Nab An Investor. If you're part of the membership, hi, hello, amazing to have you in our membership. If you're just hanging around the Facebook group, hello to you. We're going to have people join us through this live. Every week we come on and we will talk you through what's going on in the property market, what conversations we're having with various people, why there's fear and uncertainty in some cases, which we can address, and why the opportunity is right now. But to take advantage of opportunities, we need to be prepared. We need to have made a plan and done preparation to get us to the point where we can act and take absolute advantage of opportunity. So this week in Sprint Week, we've actually been talking about being visible, and that is the topic that I'm going to talk about today. We talk a lot about having your proposal bill, so you've got something tangible you can actually leave on the table. There's something there reminding people of you long after a conversation, but a lot of the work is done warming our audience up and getting people interested in us without even having to utter a single word from our mouths.
Absolutely, and being consistent and visible is the key to attracting people that you need in your life when you're a property investor. So it is very much a case of get out there, be consistent, get noticed, comment on other people's posts so your name keeps dropping into their feed. Just get out there and make sure that people know you exist. And
why do we know this? Oh, just say hello to George. Hi, George.
Afternoon, George.
Lovely to have you with us. Why do we know this? Because Neil and I, we started in property as professional property investors. We made that plunge, got educated in 2018, and since then we have taken step after step after step to grow our portfolio, to raise money. And what we're doing, because we have the knowledge and the skill and the network to enable us to raise money, grow portfolio, that means that we're able to carve a life out that is on our terms. Just a quickie, just to put it into perspective, had a conversation with a lady in a doctor's surgery this morning, went for a blood test, and she was telling me that obviously she's working, she's one of the nurses doing the blood tests. She also cares for abandoned dogs. She's got 10 grandchildren, and she says, I'm rich in love but poor in money. But she could have both. She could have both if only she knew how to change her life, or even have the will or the recognition that her life could be better. So there is no reason to stay stuck. She could be rich in money and rich in love. I mean, what would be better?
Absolutely. So all you really need is the desire, the big why, and the drive to go and get it. Just to put it in perspective, we dipped our first toe into property education in 2018, and then we both went full-time property in March 2020. So we managed to replace our income, and now we just work solely on property and helping other people get and live their dreams.
Yeah, and that's the amazing bit, and that is why we do these lives week after week. We help people in educating them in property, and also we help people in educating in how to raise money, how to nab an investor, hence why there's this Facebook group. I think I am going to pass over to you for Neil's news.
Neil's news, right? So there's some news, really good news. Well, I'll say good news. There's a mixture of good and potentially daunting news. So there's already signs that the Renters' Rights Act is having an impact on the way landlords are addressing their rental income. So what's happened, obviously, with the Renters' Rights Act, you can only put the rent or have a rent review annually. And now the landlords are actually seeking a lot of advice and looking at the maximum market rent they can charge for their properties. And some tenants are going to see some significant rises because they're way behind market rent. And the fact of the matter is that the landlords are within their right to put it up in one go to market rent under the Renters' Rights Act. So that's a bit of a kick in the teeth for the tenants, if I'm honest with you. So they're relying on the landlord being reasonable, really. We certainly wouldn't. We know that we're reasonably close to being in line with the market rent, so none of our tenants are going to get a big shock. But if you haven't, there's a lot of sort of old school landlords that think, well, I'll leave my tenants alone. They're good tenants, they're paying on time, so I won't increase their rent. And now, because of increased costs of being a landlord, they're going to have to put the rent up because their cash flow is affected. The margins are getting tighter and tighter. So it's very much a case of, their hands are tied. But I'm sure that the sympathetic landlord will do it in stages and try and work with the tenants wherever possible. So that's a bit of news. Housing market predictions are predicted to remain slow, not just throughout the rest of 2026, but they're talking about 2027 house prices increasing less than 1%. So we're talking 18 months with a less than 1% increase in house prices, which is pretty unprecedented. We see a sudden fall sometimes in the science in amidst big recessions, but this growth to be that slow is quite something. And Zoopla. So Zoopla have done a survey, and it shows that 50% of UK homes that were listed for sale in the last 3 years still remain unsold. Why is this? Because of unrealistic asking prices and unrealistic expectations from the vendors. So it's very much the case that the agents are now trying to educate the vendors to reduce it to sort of in line with the actual market value rather than their expectations, because they're probably still sitting in the past, sort of 18 months, 2 years ago, when prices were stronger and the buyer's market, the seller's market was stronger, so they need to be realigned. And if they want to sell their house, they're going to have to take offers, and that goes alongside the facts that I think I gave them out last week, that the average drop in price between marketed price and the actual agreed sale is 22% lower. So basically, whatever the original market list price was, the actual sale price is 22% lower. So that's significant. So that means there's opportunities out there for the likes of you and I and the professional property investors. So there's a bit of good news. If we play the market right and we keep getting out there, viewing, offering, following up, I'm sure you'll get some deals drop in. So on a positive note, the available mortgage products has increased in the last fortnight by 466 products, and there are now some out there for companies that are offering 95% loan to value. So that's a bit of good news. Obviously the rates are still slightly high, but we had it too cheap. It's not expensive now. Unfortunately, I'm an age where my first mortgage, the rates went up to 17.7%. So sitting around 6% is still very cheap money. So we just got to make sure that we buy it right, and then we play the long-term game to get increased cash flow over the coming years. And what else we got? And off the back of that, obviously, that the housing market is slowing. There's already some strong calls, some big names out there, sort of really trying to influence a stamp duty, land tax relief or holiday to try and kickstart the housing market and get the feel-good factor back into the economy, and obviously housing plays a huge part in the UK economy. So and that's that. Yes, so all good. So interesting fact. This is mind blowing. Absolutely. Have you know this fact? You haven't shared it with you yet.
No.
Absolutely mind blowing. First time buyers are increasingly reliant on gifts from family. In the last 12 months alone, there's been £11 million worth of gifts for deposits for first time buyers to get them on the property ladder.
Doesn't that just show how much
11
money there
million.
is?
And that just shows that's in excess of 3 billion in savings accounts in the UK. So as you know, we promote let's create win-win situations using other people's money. There's money out there. All you've got to do is become attractive to it. So a big hello to Thomas. He's just joined us. Good afternoon.
He's just missed Neil's news.
Neil's news. You
You'll
can
have to
always watch
back.
it on the replay.
Let us know.
Hashtag replay in the comments if you're coming back. And obviously breaking news. I'm sure most of you that are serious about property would have seen this already. It happened about three-quarters an hour ago. But the Bank of England have decided to hold the base rate at 3.75% for the 4th time in a row. So they're sort of sitting on the fence, I suppose. Don't know which way to go. So it's it's a watch this space and wait for the next one and see what happens. So that really is Neil's news in a nutshell. And Joe, you've just missed it, so you'll also have to watch on replay. And if you do, please put hashtag replay in the comments so we know exactly what's going on and we can, help others really.
Oh, yeah.
So that's news. Yeah. Neil's news in a nutshell.
So Neil's crystal ball. Did you expect the interest rate to
No,
hold?
I expected to edge it up to 4%. So I think that's reasonably positive news from our point of view as property investors. I'm not sure those that have got big savings in the bank are pleased that it hasn't gone up, but that makes the opportunity we can offer them even stronger.
So what was your thinking of why there'd be an increase?
Just because of the uncertainty of what's going on everywhere. I suppose with the pending ceasefire in the Middle East that they're probably just sat on the fence and see which way that goes, because although in theory it's signed, there's unpredictable people involved, isn't there?
Oh, isn't there?
I'm glad I put factor 50 in my head.
So I find this really interesting because when there's doubt, fear and uncertainty in the market, especially just like human nature, fear, doubt and uncertainty causes people to just stop in their tracks and they sit back and they wait. So that means that spending habits change, like plans change, plans will go on hold, and the bank does exactly the same.
And what is the main reason that people don't get started or don't do the next deal? The main reason is because their decisions are driven by their own bank account. So, but we are proof that you don't actually need your own money to get going. Our whole portfolio has been built using other people's money who are earning very well out of us. So we're creating real win-win opportunities, and everybody is, is in a stronger position at the end of the process.
The news today, very, very interesting. I'm just going to touch upon the gifted deposits, because we're having many conversations with property investors, people that have got property in their own name, which obviously now is not tax efficient. So they're realising that if they've held them for like a number of years, like 20 years or so, that it's the time to sell, because they've got their capital inflation, so the property has done its job, it's made its money,
and it was the right thing to do back then. It was,
yeah. But what people don't realise is about gifted deposits, because us as landlords can gift deposits to our tenants.
We've done it recently.
Yeah, we have. So you don't have to have a property actually sitting on the market at all. If your tenant is in a position to buy, but the thing that's stopping them is a deposit, you can gift them the deposit, obviously if the numbers work. So that just saves the bother from all points. Doesn't have to sit there empty. You haven't got bills with no income. You help somebody actually get on the property ladder, and you can shift your property relatively.
And in theory, quickly,
well.
It should be quickly, because there's no moving date required, is it? They're already there.
They're already there. So yeah, they're already in their home. So if the fact it's not affordability of the actual mortgage, but it's the deposit that's the problem, there are ways of
Absolutely.
assisting.
And like I say, we've done that recently from our very first property deal that we bought in our own names, because it was the right thing to do back then. And now it's not tax efficient, so we decided to offer our tenants, and we gifted them deposit to do so. They've been same tenant in there for 7 years. So
yeah, it's their home.
It's all about everybody feeling like they've won, and we felt like we'd done a really good job for them, and they'd looked after our property, which is now their property and their home still.
And also, so housing market predicted to remain slow throughout 2027. So that's 18 months of a slow property market. So what that means for us is that there's going to be opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Now is the time to start. If you haven't already started to really put some focus on being visible. So what I mean by being visible is by getting yourself to networking events multiple times and be consistent, attend the same event time and time again, so you get a reputation. People will see you, they'll get to know you. Also, your social media. This is something we're focusing on in our sprint week within Nab An Investor. The membership this week is all about visibility, about getting yourself on social media, stepping up your game. What is it that you're wanting, the message that you're wanting to actually tell people on social media? Tell your story, get people interested, start creating conversations so that your audience starts asking you questions, rather than you having to scrabble around trying to find an investor when you've had an offer accepted, and then you make really bad decisions, work with the wrong people, and everything's really rushed and just a really unpleasant experience. Let's start right now, and that is something that we do. It's always about, thinking of your next step, but think of it early. So if you know you've got multiple deals in the pipeline and there's going to be, an opportunity coming up, start looking for the money months before you actually need it.
Yeah, I mean, there's huge opportunity. Even of now, there's more properties listed for sale in the UK than there has been for 12 years. So that means there's a supply and demand. There's a huge supply of properties with very little demand. So if we become the go-to, we can snap those up. And it was only last week in the news that I shared that Savills revised their forecast for 2026, and there's only 6 months. Let's face it, there's only 6 months of 2026 remaining, and they've now revised their forecast that property prices will drop by 2% in the remainder of this of 2026. So again, huge opportunity to get out there now and keep offering, and not let your bank account restrict you from doing so, because there's money out there. All you got to do is make sure that you get to like, know, trust model, and then get out there with the numbers so that you can present an opportunity to someone.
Absolutely, yeah. Start building your list. This is what it's all about. As property investors, you will hear me say this time and time again, but I feel that it needs repeating. We're looking for deals, and our other job is looking for money. That is our two things, because without either, we're not going to go very quickly. So always looking for deals, always want to be filling that funnel, speaking to agents. If you're doing direct to vendor marketing, or you're constantly going past that house that the grass is up to like the first floor, go out, put letters through doors, speak to neighbours. It's about doing whatever it takes to get to your destination. It's not going to be a one-way straight line. It doesn't happen like that. But it's about having lots and lots of opportunities. I'm just listening to a book actually called Just One More, and it is about just making the most of every single opportunity. Don't think that one thing is going to bring you the success that you want, but it's doing many, many, many things. But if you have a plan, and you are constantly focusing on moving forward in whatever that looks like, you will get the success that you're striving for. It will happen. And it's the same with raising money. It's about having multiple conversations in whatever way that looks like.
But I mean, yes, one thing, raising money. You might have money in your account already, which we do. We use that as proof of funds, and then we go and find the money to buy the property. So we've always got that proof of funds, so we can overlap deals, keep growing rapidly. So you never run out of money. There's an endless supply of money in the UK. All you got to do is tap into it. Obviously with the Nab An Investor, we actually show you the best steps and the mindset behind raising money, because a lot of it is mindset, because people think they're going begging cap in hand, but actually that's not the case. All we're doing is offering opportunities for people to work with us.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's funny because you've had conversations with fear mindset this week.
Yep.
Market's a bit scared of the market. What's it doing? Feeling unsure, uneasy. So they're thinking of not being an investor. They're thinking of, the opposite.
Reasons not to.
Yeah, the reasons not to. For us, it's like, oh my God, fill your boots. And also, if you start thinking, so in the realms of visibility, if you are focusing on the people that you feel are the naysayers, the neggy eggies, the ones who you feel are going to criticize what you're doing, then you're giving too much energy to negativity. You want to be, those people might actually be the ones that could invest, but all you've got to do is step up your game, show people what you're doing. I mean, when we first started, and this may be the same with some of you, we didn't tell anybody. Only there was literally the people at our property network obviously knew what we were doing, because we were showing up time and time again. We didn't tell our family, didn't really tell our friends, because we knew that there was going to be an element of fear.
The naysayers, yeah.
Well, yeah, not so much naysayers, but because it's something nobody in our families had ever done before, or even considered.
Yeah, so it was their fear for us.
Yeah, they were scared about what we were getting into. We were like, yeah, this is it.
We were
this
like feet first, 100%. Everything we do is 100%. We go for it.
But that's what we were focusing on. We were focused on, this is our story, this is our journey, our life. This is the result what we want by doing.
Just use that word journey.
Sorry.
Our adventure.
Our adventure.
Yeah.
But life for other people is very different. But you have to focus on what you want out of life. And if investing in property, if raising money, and it's fun, because it gives you choice. It gives you choice. And now that our parents are older, they love the fact that we haven't got traditional jobs.
Because we can visit them regularly.
Yeah, we're there for them, and they love that. And they love the fact that we haven't just accepted the status quo. We haven't accepted the norm, and they love it. But it is fear which stops people in their tracks. But unless you're going to push yourself out of the comfort zone, you're never going to get anything different. And if you're striving to be different and have different things, then you need to take that step.
Yeah, on that note, we had a meeting with a couple of gentlemen yesterday that reached out sort of to us out of the blue. We weren't expecting. I mean, I knew one of them, but not that well. But they reached out of the blue and said, look, can we have a chat about property? So we went and had a meeting. Very nice. He sat in the sun with a pint of Aspals. That's the sort of meeting you want, isn't it? And they basically said, we've got this huge pot of money, and we thought they wanted us to mentor them. And they said, what we'd actually do is like to work with you, so you can have access to our funds. Let's see if we can do something together. So, you've got to believe it. You really have. It's out there. All you got to do is tap into it.
Yeah, you got to want it.
Yeah.
I think rather than just believing, so you got to have that.
Oh, you got to have the drive.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's putting plans in place, and always looking at what your plan is, always having that goal in mind, and working towards it. And Neil just.
What's going on there?
Oh, because you just reminded me about going to the Belle Pay. Restaurant.
That's a restaurant in Colchester that
it just sparked a
but
thought.
in the middle of a Facebook Live about the property market, she's written down the restaurant in Colchester.
Because it was the association with the
I
chap
must
that
be
we spoke
careful
to.
with my words, otherwise it's going to cost me.
So I think this is very exciting. It was very exciting when all the oil thing started to happen.
Good afternoon, Dawn.
Months ago. I can't even remember when the oil, the Strait of
I think it's back in February now, I believe.
Yeah, I found it all very interesting. I find human nature incredibly interesting when things change.
And I was more concerned about the cost of our oil because we're on oil out here in the middle of nowhere.
So, but
we're on a little island, you see.
We're good. Yeah, it's a very interesting time, but it's fine, sitting back and watching it. But you've also, take advantage of it. The opportunity is definitely there, and that's why we come on. We're hoping we're inspiring you to take action, to actually start things moving. I know people come into this group thinking that they're gonna just literally stumble across an investor. That's not going to happen, because you've got to put yourself out there. People will invest in you, they will do, but they've got to know who you are, what you're doing.
Well, yeah, come and get closer to us,
and
we can really
you present.
Yeah, come and get close to us. We can really put our arm around you and help you on your way, definitely.
Yeah.
To raising that first or next pot of funds to grow your property portfolio, flips, whatever you're doing, commercial conversions, new builds, the whole lot. Everybody needs money to fund their property adventures. We don't like the word journey.
100%.
Afternoon, Richard.
And we're seeing, oh my goodness, just looking yesterday, commercial conversion opportunities. There's hotels. I mean, there's always the yin and yang. So we're seeing hotels that are no longer working. We know that from our point of view anyway, service accommodation is a hard strategy at the moment to
in the area we operated in. We've just what's the word,
but you've got to think about. So I'm just I'll explain why I see service accommodation as being a hard strategy at the moment, is because everybody's suffering from escalating bills. That's companies as well. So that means that budgets aren't increasing for nightly rates from the people who are buying those nightly rates, but from the service accommodation provider, that also means that their bills are escalating, and so there's they need to make money, but the nightly rates aren't being achieved because they can't get the clientele to pay them. So service accommodation, I feel, is a hard one at this moment in time.
So the first thing people cut back on, certainly holiday makers, is going away. And to try and lure them in, you have to reduce your nightly rate. And contractors now, in our area, I reckon the nightly rate has been stagnant for the last 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah, it really has, and bills have been escalating.
But the costs haven't.
Yeah.
The utilities is going up all the time, business rates, etc. And we've got a dog that's seeing the postman off. Sorry.
But it means so. But being a property investor is about watching the market. It's about getting the market updates, understanding what opportunities there is out there. We do have to pivot. Some of our service accommodation we've actually put round to the normal rental, because it's it's not reliant on guests. It's a contracted an amount every month, so it gives stability. And the renters' rights is not something to be scared of.
No.
There's always change. There's always going to be some legislation that changes.
And there are ways of mitigating the risk.
Absolutely. So. There's always going to be a way to achieve a result. But it's about, it's the who dares wins, isn't it, really, at the end of the day?
Yeah, you can either throw the towel in, or you can embrace it and forge forward.
Yeah. And that the professional property investor, there is so much opportunity.
We've got much longer. I've put my trust in Factor 50.
Well, I should think it'd be all right. We could put a sign.
Shining a lot, isn't it?
The amateur investor, they are the ones that are running for the hills. But the professional property investor, opportunity after opportunity. So closing words, I think.
I think closing words are opportunity. It's playing into our hands. All we've got to do is get out there, be active, be consistent, offer follow up, and keep following up, because what we're relying on is becoming the best option in the end. So might go for no and wait for those no's to turn into a yes. The more no's you get, the closer you are to your next yes, and that's my mindset. I love a no. If I got a yes from a first offer, I'd be devastated, because in the back of my mind I'd always think,